Hello and welcome to the Insider at Home. We hope you're all safe and you're all sound, and thank you very much for joining us here on this Insider. My guest for today rode his first Olympics already in Barcelona at age 20. However, it would take him another 12 years to go back to the games. He had to change discipline and ride a horse named after his teammate, riding Magic Benson. With that teammate, he would end up in the medals on the podium of those Olympics, and that was Athens. He started his Launching Global Champions Tour campaign in 2018, winning a Grand Prix in Cannes, and he is one of 4 riders to feature in both the 2018 and the 2019 Launching Global Champions Tour Super Grand Prix. When you can spot him walking the course, you can always see that the success sits in the palm of his hand. My guest is Swedish Dynamite. It's Peder Fredricson. Peder, great to have you with us.
Great to be here.
How are you doing? How's life?
Yeah, it's a bit strange. It's a new situation to all of us, but the sun is shining and we can work with our horses and we're all healthy. So I really shouldn't complain.
No, everything that is crucial is still there. Something that is crucial, and we see it happening in every course walk, it is that little piece of paper in your hand. You are meticulous in preparing your Grand Prix and your rides. What is it? Why did it start? How did it start, that habit of using that little paper?
Oh, it's a long story, actually.
We have time.
But if you have time, it's... well, I started off eventing, and in eventing, you always mark your minute markers during the cross country. So I was used to writing details up, walking the course, because there's so many details to remember in 3-day eventing. And then I got a sponsorship with H&M, and they wanted me to swap to show jumping. And well, the pressure was on to get some results straight away, and I was new to show jumping, and I thought it was a bit tricky to remember like all the strides, 6 forward or 6 short, and this and that. So in order to save some energy, I just kept my routine from the eventing and took it into show jumping and just wrote everything down.
Because it has been picked up. I think Evelina Tolvek does it as well, doesn't she?
Yeah, maybe. I'm sure it doesn't work for everybody, but for me, it really helps me to remember when I walk it, and then I don't need to put any energy on it because I know I can relax it, and then I can focus on warming up the horse or look at other riders and so on. And I don't need, if I don't write it up, I have to think about it. Oh, what was it now? Was it 6 forward? Or it takes a bit of energy. Now I can, when I walk the course. Afterwards, I visualize it, and then I just forget about it, and then I warm up, and I really focus on the, my horse and warming up and these things. And then when I have 1 rider to go, I jump off, or maybe 2 riders to go, I jump off, and then I visualize the course again. Normally, I don't need to even look at the paper, but sometimes, I was like, what was it now? Was it 6 or 7? Then I have my paper. I don't need to ask anybody else and so on. And that gives me a bit of security.
Yeah. Are you a man of habits, of things that need to go planned one after the other every time the same thing? Are you superstitious?
No, I'm actually the opposite. People think I'm quite organized because I have this piece of paper and I have my routines when I compete. But that is also during this time when I got the sponsorship on H&M, I realized that I need to get some results. And because I'm really not organized, I realized this is something I can improve. So that's also why I got these new routines, how I should do everything. And then in the beginning, it was just super hard work to follow the routines, with how many horses to warm up. Now I warm up on 15 horses before me, I start to warm up. And how many fences to jump on the warm up and all these things. Before I just, did how it felt, I just went by feeling, and then sometimes I warmed up on 20 and sometimes on 5. Sometimes I didn't have time to jump more than 4 fences, and sometimes I had a lot of time, I jumped 20. And I realized this is maybe not the best way to do it. So I realized that I'm going to now try to figure out the best way I can do it. And then I wrote everything down, and I was trying to keep these routines. And in the beginning, it was just really hard work to follow the routines. But now I've been doing it for so many years now. I don't think so much about it, but I still keep the routines. And this writing up the meters and the strides in between each fence is part of this routine, and that gives me something to fall back on.
Yeah, support on paper.
Yeah, this is just one small part of all the routines I have, but all these routines is quite good because, when it's important competition or championships, maybe you get a bit nervous and this and that. Then it's nice to have routines to fall back on. Like, as long as I are well prepared and I follow my routines, then I cannot do much more. That's.
Yeah, you got everything covered. You're a man who has competed on the Global Champions Tour, but also in all the big championships, and you've been successful there. Whilst doing some background research, I came onto a Swedish website. My Swedish isn't super, but what it said is that you had a difficult time coming back into the sport after Rio. That was very tough on you mentally. The success of Rio and everything that came after it, it was very tough on you.
Yeah, it was actually because it was a great how should I say? It was
a climax.
It was a really good opener for new opportunities. The silver medal at the Olympics, because it opened up a lot of doors that had been closed before, and I was really eager to take the chance, to make the most out of it. So it meant that I was working much harder actually than I did before. And it was also a lot of people like sending letters, like only nice things, and then wanted to have meetings. And all of a sudden there were, magazines wanted to come and make articles and things like this. Only nice things. And I really enjoyed it, but it took a lot of time. And that I think I got a bit tired from it in the end, that what I needed to do was to reorganize, because I was doing, I had the same amount of staff doing all just like I did before, but there was so much more work afterwards and I wasn't really prepared for it.
Yeah. You answered already one of the next questions, the change from eventing into show jumping. That was basically a question from 89, because you competed in Barcelona at the age of 20. I think you have to be one of the youngest Olympians in equestrianism ever. We should check that out. But then 12 years later, you come back in show jumping. But it was a demand of H&M. Could you please go into show jumping?
Yes, it was a demand of them that they wanted me to do show jumping, and today I'm really happy for that. It was a good switch. I do enjoy eventing also, like especially days like this in the springtime. I can miss going cross country schooling and these things, but of course for the businesses, show jumping is better.
Yeah, and you come from a show jumping family. Your wife competed, Liesen. She competed at the London Olympics. Your brother Jens also competed at the 2012 Olympics. Your father, Professor Ingvar Fredricson, he is the eminence grise in Sweden when it comes to veterinary aspects. You really come from a show jumping family, or is it more a horse family?
I should say it's more a horse family. When we were small, we had ponies, me and my brother, and we were playing a lot and, just riding out in the forest. And then by the time I was 10, we moved down to a place called Flyinge in the south of Sweden. And there was a lot of knowledge, like with good riders like Kira Kyrklund there and Peter Eriksson and Jan Jönsson in eventing. And, that was a perfect place to come if you were interested in horses.
And was there ever a point in your youth where you had to make the choice, or eventing or show jumping, or did it come naturally?
No, not really. I could do whatever I wanted. And I went in the same class as Fredrik Jönsson. He's now doing show jumping, and we rode the World Championship together a few years ago in show jumping. But at that time, he did eventing, and his father is Jan Jönsson. He has a bronze medal in 3D eventing in the Olympic Games. So it came natural that, we were training for his father, and I got a 3-year-old thoroughbred mare, and I started doing eventing. So One thing led to another.
We've spoken about your father, who was the chief of Vluyingen, of the state stud. I think for more than 1,000 years there have been horses at the stud in Vluyingen. But there's his experience, his knowledge seems to be quite crucial is maybe the wrong word, but very important in your life. Now you've started the Brostar project alongside your father. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, my father is now 84, but he's still full of ideas. I hope I will go the same way when I get older. And now he has this project that, soundness of show jumping horses is crucial. And most careers of show jumpers, they end because of soundness. So the longer we can get the horses to be in the sport, the better for the horses and for us. So this project is a bit to raise the horses in a way that they can have a long, healthy life in the sport. And it's basically that they should move a lot when they are young. They should not stand in small paddocks or be inside too much. They should be outside and move over big areas. The problem is to get the horses to move, because normally they just, if they have food, they will just stand still and eat, and they will play a little bit, when they feel for it. But this project is on a very big space, and they have to move to get food and water. So, and then they are now just following and seeing how much they are actually moving and how it affects the horses and the quality of the hooves and these things. I think it's very interesting.
The insights from your father regarding this project, are they also shining through in your natural surfaces that you've built around your farm at home? We've got some beautiful images of that as well. Where did that concept come from, or is it a heritage of your eventing career?
I think it's both, actually. I mean, I learned a lot from my father during my years. Because he's a veterinarian and he is very, curious and want to try new things. And I also enjoy, I'm the kind of person, I'm not really enjoying being on the same arena every day. I like to change places. So I built this the track in the forest, which is, goes a bit up and down, and you can make some circles around the trees. And I think it's a great place to warm up the horses, because they really enjoy working there, but it's still, they have to make an effort. You can trot slowly downhill and make big circles or small circles around the tree. And it's really a good way of warming up the horses, I think. And it's also a different surface from the fiber sand. This is a sand surface that are not stopping so quickly. It's a bit softer surface. And then I also have a big grass field at the top of my farm, which I also enjoy. I just made it a year ago, and I think that's also really nice to be able to stretch out the canter, and that's what I'm working a bit on now at home. This times with this situation we're in now, we actually gives us time to try new things that you wouldn't try, like when you're in the middle of a competition season and so on. You don't have so much room to try new things. Because when you try new things, often it goes bad for a while, and then you learn from it, and then you change it a bit, and that's the way you move forward. But it's a bit dangerous to do this when you're in the middle of a competition season. But now when we have some time off, we have actually time to try new things. So what I'm trying to do now is to be working the horses a little bit more in bigger strides and work on the speed a little bit to make sure the horse have the natural balance also in big strides, because in the end, in the jump offs, that's what we need, to go in high pace but still have control and balance and be able to control the horse in a nice way, but in big strides and high speed.
I think this is quite a bad episode for your rivals, hearing that you're trying to increase speed even more after the successes of the last 2 years. Talking about one of those successes, of course, was the 2019 Global Champions League Super Cup. Your 2018 edition didn't really go as planned, but you came back stronger with a new team, with the Shanghai Swans last year in Prague. The team competition, you rode last year in the Shanghai Swans with riders like Peder Schwitzer, Shane Sweetnam, Alexander Thornton, Daniel Deusser. You've been riding alongside of them at all these big shows before, but now that you were in a team with them, did you see a different side from these riders? Did you get to know them in a different way?
Yeah, I must say, I mean, like you say, we all know each other from before because we meet at shows and we're good friends, but I really enjoy riding in the same team with some and meet new riders, because it's special when you ride in a team together. I mean, we support each other and we know it's a lot of stake. You know, it's important classes and it gives an extra dimension to ride in a team together, and I really enjoy it.
Is there any aspect that you want to share of us, something that you learned or that you discovered from people like Pius or Daniel that you didn't know before? Maybe even a technical aspect on how they ride or how they warm up, because you are somebody who's always out looking and always trying to pick up something new.
Yeah, I think just being around them is fantastic, because we all talk about different things, you know, bits and how to train and different courses and so on. So I think, like you say, I think it's very important to be curious and try to learn new things and move forward. I think that's the only way to stay in the top of the sport. And just to watch, like you say, like Pius or Daniel school a horse, I think you can learn a lot just by watching, actually.
All right.
So it's very interesting.
Let's go back to Prague. You went straight into the semifinals as you qualified inside the top four of the regular season. Into the semifinals, you sit with a team on a score of 8 together with 6 other teams, and you qualify based on your times. Then you go into the second round of the final. That's where we'll take you. Second round of the final stage. And there's an 8-point gap after round 1. There's an 8-point gap. What's the discussion with your teammates? Can you remember? Shane Sweetnam was there. You, Pius, and Daniel, you were on the team. What are you talking about? You're third, and there's an 8-point gap.
Yeah, we don't really talk so much about it. I mean, we know what we need to do. We need to go in there. We need to do a clear round. And inside the time, sometimes the time is crucial or not. And then we have Shane Sweetnam. He knew about the time, what we needed to do or not. But I think that's also, if you're in a good team, then you know everybody's professional. We do shows every week and we have our routines and we know what to do. And you don't want to go in and interfere too much. So normally we have it like, if we have a question, we know we can ask anybody and they're willing to help. But if not, we'll let everybody get on and do what they are best on doing.
Then, by the time you were third last to go, by the time you were the first rider on the team, by the time you went in, Monaco Aces was leading with 21 points. You had a 17-point gap. Did anybody tell you that you had such a margin going in?
No, not really. Not really. And like I say, I mean, some people want to have all the information all the time. I think it's from rider to rider, but me, myself, I prefer to focus more on my horse and the course and how I'm supposed to ride it, rather than other people's performances, because you cannot control that anyway. You know, it's going to change all the time. And if you try to stay focused on that, you might lose control over your own performance. So I try to shut that out as much as possible and only try to stay, you know, with my horse and focus on the plan I have to ride the course.
You went clear. Pius had 8 that made the margin a little bit smaller. Then Daniel came in. Daniel rides the only double clear of the final. Your team is in the lead. Things don't go as planned for Paris Panthers, one of the favorites for the Super Cup. And then it is the time for the surprise of the entire weekend, the Cannes Stars. Jean Richard Philips goes first, and this is the ride of their second rider. It is Maurice Tebel. At this point, the Stars sit on a score of 9, and you guys, you finished, you've got your 3 riders gone, you sit on a score of 12. We've all seen the images. You stand there, and there you are, nail-biting, nervous Daniel Deusser, trying to stay composed and focused. How talk us through these moments. What did you see? What did you think?
Yeah, but once you've done your own performance, then everything changes. You know, then it gets really then you have no control over your feelings anymore. It gets really nerve-wracking to watch. So like I think when you ride yourself, you're in so much focus and so on that you can shut the feelings out. But when you're done riding, it gets really, really, really interesting and really nervous to see what other riders do.
Did you expect him to jump clear?
Yeah, he jumped fantastic. Jumps really good. Good rider and good horse.
Yeah.
But it was a tough course. Really great show and tough course as it should be. Over the next oxer, 155, 160 wide, and the same with the double. It looks like a clear round to me.
Yeah, and this was a terrible double to jump, very difficult. And here he comes into the last line. At this point, CanStar's still leading, and you just need that one rail. Are you hoping for the rail? Because here it comes.
Of course, sad to say, but of course you do. In a situation like this, you want to do as well as possible. It was a great feeling. It was unbelievable, actually.
Yeah, it was a fantastic show, and I can imagine it was a great feeling.
But it was better feeling for us than for him, sadly for him.
Imagine. Did you speak to him afterwards, or to anybody of that team?
Yeah, we all met. We all met afterwards. Didn't speak about his mistake, but of course we all congratulated each other. And I mean, that's how the sport is. The margins are so small. And sometimes you can knock a pole and it stays up. Sometimes it falls down. The only thing to focus on is to try to be as high level as possible all the time. Then sooner or later, you're going to have a weekend like we had there in Prague. Then you're going to win.
Very briefly, everybody always talks, of course, about H&M All-In. He's a fantastic horse. He's done outstanding at all the championships and in the Global Champions Tours. Just H&M Christian K. Could it be that people underestimate him? He jumped last year. He jumped 9 rounds for the Shanghai Swans. He jumped 7 clear, makes him one of the best horses in the field. Could he be underestimated?
Yeah, he's a great horse. He's very, very careful. He's very brave, very scopy. He's not the easiest ride because he's quite strong, and maybe it doesn't look. Because he goes for the head up and has his own way of jumping, so it doesn't look so, how should I say, it doesn't look so spectacular and so smooth all the time. But he has got a great mind. And like you say, he wants to jump clear, and I'm super, super happy to have him in my team. Yeah,
I can imagine. Peder, we asked you something else. We asked you to prepare an exercise for our viewers at home. I think... at least I have, and I think our viewers as well, have already learned from how you prepare before a competition, writing everything down, focusing, visualizing. But we've also asked you to prepare a physical exercise, an exercise that they can use at home. And I thought you were going to bring something that everybody knows with 3 poles on a straight line, but you've put them on a bend. And we see in the 3D. Tell us, what is the thought behind this exercise?
Well, I think this exercise is very good for all horses, actually, and for all level of riders and all level of horses. And the exercise you do, it's very important that you know why you're doing them and when you're supposed to do them. Like if the horse has been resting for a while and you build the horse up, you need to jump small and get them strong before you jump bigger. If you have competition and you want to jump something easy between the competition, this could be a nice exercise just to give the horses a few nice jumps and work on the shape. But you can also make this exercise a bit harder by racing either the middle fence or all 3 fences. And then it gets really gymnastic for the horse, and they have to collect themselves and jump up in there and turn around and land and shorten themselves again. So it all depends what age the horse has and what you want to get out of it. And the exercise is, you can work on a circle. It's 3 fences on a bent line. I have 11 meter when the fences are small, and just want to get the horse to make sure the horse doesn't fall in or fall out. and make sure that the horse jumps in a round shape, collect itself a little bit in between so you can soften to the next jump and come back and collect again.
Yeah.
And then you can also do it on a figure of 8. And this is a nice exercise. You know, it doesn't take anything out of the horses unless you jump it big, of course, then it gets harder. Mm-hmm. But it's a nice exercise to get the horse, you know, round and supple. And you also can feel if they fall in on one side or fall out, you have to make sure you have the horses straight and that they respect the inside leg to the outside rein. And no, I think it's a good exercise.
Are you a fan of jumping? No, obviously, but I mean,
that's a good
question. But do you jump a lot at home?
Actually, normally when I have competitions, I don't jump much at home at all. I could do exercise like this, you know, because this is just a nice way of keeping the horses jumping fit. If they had like 2 weeks in between a show or something like this, it's nice to do some gymnastics.
All right.
And sometimes it's nicer to do it on a bent line like this than on a straight line, because on a straight line the horses tend to go faster and faster. Here you can actually work the horse all the way around the circle. And if you do a figure of 8, you can work also on your lines. Make sure you have a round circle and that the flying change come nicely. And you know, it takes a bit of practice to get this exercise done in the right way. And also, I like to do exercise like this that the horses learn the exercise. They know what they're expected to do.
How high would you put the fences in for the viewers at home for regular normal average exercise? What are we talking about? 90 centimeters, a meter?
Yeah, it all depends what you want to get out of the exercise. If you jump it low, it's good for everybody, you know, because it's just like a riding dressage over fences. So if you do it low, it's for everybody. But then if you want to maybe train a horse to jump a bit rounder or get a bit stronger, then you can put it up as high as you want. Either you just put the middle fence up, you have the other 2 low, or you can put all 3 fences up. Then of course it gets more difficult. And then normally I would lengthen the distance in between, so it doesn't get too short. I'm not a fan of having super short distances. I want to have a distance which is feels the horse need to collect, but not more than has to. No, yeah. Because in the end, I don't really feel we have any use for it in the ring.
All right.
And I think also when you train, it's important to train things that you can use in the ring. This is a good thing to use in the ring, because you need to learn to ride lines, and you also need to be able to have a contact with the horse's mouth over the fence and make sure that the horse can jump in a round shape. And I think this exercise is good for that.
Well, excellent. I think we'll have a few viewers who'll give that a go at home in the coming days. Peder, thank you very much for joining us here on the Insider at Home. I would say that you would be busy, but not many of us are busy. I do know that you're busy painting, so we're looking forward to see those fresh paintings come out. We'll make sure to follow your social media accounts. But thank you very much for joining us and for sharing us your insights, your tips, and especially this exercise. And to you at home also, thank you very much for joining us here on the Insider at Home. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you join us for the future episodes to come. Make sure you follow us on all our social media channels, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or on the website. You will stay up to date with whatever comes at you from Global Champions, where we bring you the very best in show jumping. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye.